Okay, Solar Systems 2.0. So here's the next kind of wave, if you will, of technology, and this is the cadmium telluride. It's a very toxic material. There's a little question about what's going to happen with all this once it gets recycled. People have to wear, when you're working in the factory in a cadmium telluride operation, you've got to wear a lot of protective suits because cadmium is not good, doesn't mix well with humans. First Solar really owns this market. They've been profitable the whole way through. And if you look at just in terms of growth of revenue and growth of profits, First Solar just keeps knocking it out of the park every quarter. And there was a big concern after last quarter. They were doing a little rebates back to their, I think they were going to set aside about $60 million in rebates to their clients. And that hit their stock, but they've just been doing really well. The problem with cadmium telluride is about the maximum efficiency they're going to get is probably 12%. So when you look at polysilicon, at least up in space on the satellites, you can get up to 42%. And that's about the maximum theoretical amount of energy you're going to convert from the sun. But these guys can't really get above 12, and that's a problem because you just got to have more panels to capture more of the energy. Yes? Yes, this is all photovoltaic right now. Sorry, yes. I should have. And then there's solar thermal, which I'm not really going to go into today, but that is a whole other area that's very efficient. So here's First Solar's chart. They had the big run up too. They even kind of held it together early because their numbers kept being great. And they still are, really. But they're in no man's land right now because I think people are wondering what the end game is. But if you had to bet on someone that keeps doing it every quarter, they definitely keep generating a lot of revenue and profits. So they have some of the lowest cost of production around, and that's why they can sell all they can make. The problem is when you have lower efficiency, there's a lot of balance, it's called balance of system costs. So the actually installation costs go up because if you have to have twice as many panels as, say, SunPower, you're going to pay a lot more in all the wiring, the guys to go out and set it up, the racking systems, everything goes up in price. You have to have more land to put it on or more rooftop. So there's a lot of extra cost to it. This is where I think this could provide the really Solar 3.0. This could be the way things are going to go into the future. I think there's a good chance of it. So you want to be looking out for companies that are going to be coming on the market and doing IPOs in the copper, indium, gallium, diselenide. And I got pitched by an investment banker that there's a company that wants to corner the market on this indium right now and buy it all up. So maybe that'll tell you where things are going to go. But the great thing is, theoretically, at NREL, they've produced SIGs that's about 18 or 19% efficient. So it's a massive gain over 2.0, which is the cadmium telluride. But currently, it's only 11, though. So they're currently about on par with First Solar if you look at a company like NanoSolar down here. And these are the guys I think you need to watch out for an IPO. I think it's going to come in the next 12 to 18 months, and I believe it's going to go as well as First Solar's did, because First Solar's, you got a 10x gain pretty much off the IPO to the peak. So I think there's a good chance. I would really watch out for the NanoSolar IPO. They seem to be the most organized, the most efficient. They've got a robotic plant. If you go on their website in Germany, that's phenomenal. No one touches anything. The stuff's printed on thin stainless steel, and they have a completely automated production line, and their cost per watt's very low. So I think there's a good chance that. I also like this. This was just announced last week that Dow came out with shingles, roof shingles, and I love this concept because if you can replace an existing material like roofing material with solar, it's got a double benefit. You're going to produce energy, and you're also going to have a long-lasting roof. You can walk on this stuff, evidently. And I imagine the shingles are maybe about this thick, and they all interconnect just like Legos. Very cool concept, and I think this will. We may see some roofing companies, if they can adopt this, and I've heard of a few winning contracts because they're already doing roofing, and they may end up winning some of the bigger contracts to do schools and whatnot. Well, they're manufacturing right now First Solar for about 89 cents a watt. From what I hear, Nano Solar is under $1 as well. But First Solar's had a lot more time to get their manufacturing efficiencies in place, whereas Nano Solar's just on the beginning rounds. And you can imagine Nano Solar going from 10.5 or 11% efficiency to 13 or 15. There's going to be no one that'll be able to be close. I don't know if that's going to happen. I hope it does in the next couple of years, but if they do, it'll be amazing. You know, I don't know the specifics of Suntech. I think it's more they were just at the mercy of the market when there was massive oversupply, and a lot of people didn't do well in solar because of that capacity. There was just too much capacity at the end of '07, so demand kind of dropped with the recession. Capacity went up, and you had two bad scenarios hitting the market at the time. Yes. When you look at storage, thermal is a much better mechanism when you look at solar thermal than photovoltaic. Solar thermal they're just big projects. There's nothing super proprietary about it. I've looked at eSolar, for instance, where they've got a modular system where, with mirrors where they shoot it all at a tower, and the tower heats up and creates steam and then drives the generator. But they are able to begin to, during those hot periods of the day, heat. Looked at molten salt, where they've been able to store that energy and heat up salt during the day, basically, and then take it off at night. So everyone's working on it. Thermal's probably the best way. It's a little hard to store electrons right now, but we'll talk a bit about that as well. No, not yet. We're too small. We were a little too small to get in on nanosolar. I'm hoping.
Not necessarily
right.
nanosolar, but any pre-stage.
Yes, we do some, but not in. I don't have any in solar right now. Yeah.